welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. This is another living room edition because I just got finished the live stream. We were on live for about 2 hours and we were really having quite the conversation. If you did not join us for that live stream, I encourage you to do that. Don't be intimidated by the 2 hours. It was quite the conversation. Like I said, I had guests come up, dial in and get on camera or get on audio and share their perspectives on a particular issue. And we broke down that issue that had to do with that Forbes article and about Angel Reese and Asia Wilson being the people responsible for the growth in the WNBA, a clear dig on Caitlin Clark. So we got into that. We got into the race baiting that took place in that article. We got into a lot of stuff and we got passionate about it. So get in there, check it out, leave a comment, let us know what you think. We also got into how the WNBA released the WNBA draft promo. And let's just say we could probably sing the song, one of these things is doing their own thing, one of these things is not the same. And that had to do with Angel Reese. You probably have seen that promo and you probably have seen some of the comments on that. Anyway, I was able to kind of tie in that Forbes ridiculous article with that WNBA promo, and I put it together. But you go check that thing out. Hit the like button while you're there. Hey, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you have, you know how much I appreciate you. And thank you for those who are members. It's continuing to grow. Thank you to those who are gifting memberships too. You guys are just amazing. All right, so let's get into the topic of this video. MiLaysia Fulwiley, guard for Dawn Staley's South Carolina Gamecocks. Rumor is that she is entering the transfer portal and saying, "See you later" to South Carolina. Now, obviously, it's not a definite, right? You can enter the portal and not necessarily leave. You can stay. So I've heard. So that's a possibility, but sounds like it is her intention to leave South Carolina. And I'm not surprised. If you were hanging out with us during the live streams of the NCAA tournament, or if you're a member and have been in our weekly live streams, you know I've said before that it seems to me that Dawn Staley is not utilizing Fulwiley in the way that I imagine Fulwiley wants to be utilized. ARC Nation is someone who has talked a lot about Dawn Staley not developing guards. She develops bigs. He talks about Fulwiley and how Dawn Staley has to let her be free. He calls South Carolina, how does he say it? The guard graveyard. ARC Nation. And I've heard him talk about that. And I've seen some things with my own eyes. And this is what I saw during the NCAA tournament. Dawn Staley getting blown out in the final game, in the championship game against UConn, was not the only time that a loss was possible. Like the loss in the championship was a loss for real. But I said before, they escaped like the previous two games, and might be the game before, but certainly the previous two games, they barely made it out. But experienced teams, experienced coaches, they know how to make it work. I did a video talking about this, I guess last week sometime. You have to be able to play 40 minutes because teams like South Carolina find a way to win. Well, it ran out for the championship game. They had utilized all their escape cards, escape the lost cards, and they lost in embarrassing fashion. What I noticed during the tournament is that MiLaysia Fulwiley has struggled saying her name. Well, Fulwiley was called into the game in one of the games. I don't know if it was the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. I think it was the Sweet 16. She was called into the game. Okay, so now Fulwiley, do your thing. I feel like Dawn Staley, she wants to, she's got a system, And she kind of has Fulwiley, this is your place. This is, you don't start, and this is your place, and your minutes are limited, and all this and that. But then when her back was against the wall, meaning Dawn's back was against the wall, which means the team's backs were against the wall, it was like, okay, Fulwiley, go in there at this situation, because if we don't have you do your thing, then we're not going to win this game. And then she just wants to unleash her to bail them out, but doesn't allow her to have that same freedom throughout the course of games. I got to say this. Fulwiley, you can see, is a street baller. So she plays with a certain flair. She plays with a certain, if you will, recklessness. And I can imagine as a coach, that can be nerve-wracking and it can be frustrating. So a coach has to find a balance. And I said the same thing in a comment. I've said the same thing in videos, but I said the same thing yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday in a comment where someone was mentioning Juju. And I said that Juju needs a coach who does not totally douse her fire, but is able to give her some kind of direction so that she plays more as a team player. As far as Fulwiley is concerned, she's got that street ball kind of game. And she can do some stuff. She can get you some baskets. And she can do it in a fun way to look at as well. So Dawn Staley, though, I don't know that she appreciates her Fulwiley's game. And a player like Fulwiley, I feel, is going to begin to feel like she's being held back. Like, I can't be me. I can't show what I can do. I feel like I'm in prison to a certain extent. I'm not a believer in the transfer portal, except for extenuating circumstances. But the transfer portal does exist, and people are jumping into that portal. And so I'm not surprised that Fulwiley says, I've got an opportunity to leave. I'm going to leave because I can't deal with this. Now, there were rumors early in the season that she was going to transfer. I think her parents kind of downplayed that. My mindset is that probably they encouraged her to just make the best of it, bide your time, and then if things don't improve to your satisfaction, then you take that option and leave. Again, I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's there. And I'm not surprised that she would want to go. So if these rumors are true, I'm not at all surprised. Remember, Taniyah Latson is coming in. Raven Johnson is remaining. And Fulwiley doesn't want to spend the rest of her college career in a system that doesn't work to her benefit if she doesn't have to. And today, you don't have to. So I just want to see coaches that, and it's not easy, but I want to see coaches that can balance. Like you look at a Caitlin Clark and a Lisa Bluter, and you've heard Jan Jensen talking about it, that you want to, as they say, tame them, but not break them. And Fulwiley's game is different from Caitlin Clark's game, but the same concept exists. How do I not totally crush the fire out of a player with such potential as Fulwiley, who can get you baskets and who can do it in an exciting way? I know Dawn Staley is not really concerned about whether it's exciting or not. She's there to win basketball games, and she's proven that she can win basketball games. And Fulwiley has won a championship with her in 2024. She won a championship the 23-24 season. Nonetheless, she's probably like, can you loose me and let me go? And I'm going to look at my options and see if I can go somewhere where I can play basketball and not just be under your system. I find it interesting. Like I said, Ock Nation calls South Carolina the guard graveyard. I find it interesting because Dawn Staley was such a phenomenal point guard. Dawn Staley, in college and in the WNBA, and yet she doesn't produce and develop guards. It's the bigs. It's the Aaliyah Boston and Asia Wilson and Camila Cardoso guard not being able to bring out the best in another guard. It's just kind of strange to me, I guess. But let's take a look at this article from greenvilleonline.com about this transfer rumor. South Carolina basketball star MiLaysia Fulwiley plans to enter transfer portal, and that's via sources. So it says South Carolina women's basketball star MiLaysia Fulwiley plans to enter the transfer portal, sources told the Greenville News on Friday. The sources requested anonymity because no public announcement has been made. And again, ESPN is reporting the same as well as other outlets. The transfer portal opened March 25th and closes April 22nd. However, a player in the portal can still withdraw and return to the team after the closing date. That has to be awkward, right? Like, I want out of here. Oh, let me come back. It just seems weird. But anyway, the 5'10" guard, a sophomore, averaged 11.7 points a game this season, second best on the Gamecocks, who lost to UConn in the national championship on April 6th. But Wiley also was on the South Carolina team that went undefeated last season and won the national title. I just find it interesting. It tells you a little bit about Dawn's team. It's not a team of superstars, at least maybe it will be next year, but it's not a team of superstars. When your second best scorer only has 11.7 points per game, that says something. I'm not saying that 11.7 points per game is something to sneeze at, but it's just kind of interesting to me. I would just have to say, it sounds like a team of just regular people who lace them up and get out there and do some work, but nobody like overwhelming anyone. Maybe Fulwiley wants to overwhelm people because she feels she can. There was some concern this would happen after guard Taniyah Lotson committed to South Carolina on Tuesday, with guard Raven Johnson announcing she was returning. A new guard would cut into the minutes of Fulwiley and sophomore Tessa Johnson. Cut into her minutes. Well, let's see. How many minutes is she playing? Fulwiley, who was named SEC Sixth Player of the Year, averaged 18.9 minutes off the bench this season and shot 42.6% from the field and 25.8% from the three-point line. So 18.9 minutes she gets out of a 40-minute game. She scored a game-high 23 in the Sweet 16 against Maryland. I think that's the one where Dawn needed her to bail her out, and she came through, if I remember right. And it was the third time this season she scored 22 or more. She had a season-high 24 points on 10 of 15 shooting against Vanderbilt in February. It goes on to say, when she chose South Carolina as a five-star recruit, she became the new hometown hero, just as Asia Wilson had been. Fulwiley went to Kenan High School, just under 10 miles, blah, 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 blah. Okay, she was the first freshman in program history to win SEC Tournament MVP in 2024, after scoring 24 points in the SEC Tournament Championship game against LSU on March 10th. It tells us that about her custom shoes with Steph Curry's brand. This whole transfer portal is making things rather interesting. I think it is a detriment to college basketball. I think it's a detriment to fans carrying over to the WNBA. That's what I think about it. I think it's a detriment to the culture as well. Again, except for rare circumstances. Be that as it may, as I already said, it exists. And a player like Fulwiley, who can do some things on the court, but feels like she's strapped down, she has an opportunity to get it out. I guess she's going to look for that opportunity. Dawn Staley might need to rethink some things. It's going to be interesting. Taniyah Lotson, who has committed to South Carolina after being at Florida State, entering the transfer portal, and now she's going to be playing with former teammates. She's the number one Division I scorer this year. How is that going to look? I'm sure she had that conversation, or I should say, I hope she had that conversation with Dawn Staley. Will she be a guard who can develop and showcase her talent and help her team maybe win the championship and then continue to grow? Or is this going to be a situation where somebody else is going to be frustrated because of Dawn Staley's, to use Nation's phrase, guard graveyard? This transfer portal is shaking things up big time. What are your thoughts? Get in the comments, please. I will catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.